Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, the master of the deceptive arts, and I return to you once more as the proficient voice of the vasectomites. And today I wanted us to take ourselves seriously, a little bit more serious than usual, and think about what it means to be a real professional, to be a professional at what you do, but not only just what you do at work, but also how you live privately. Having spent some time as a professional myself in some capacity in leadership, I have obviously pondered several times and under many different circumstances what it actually means to be a professional. Now, let me save you some time. Because if you start looking up and searching for what being a professional means, you will get a very vague and, quite frankly, open-ended expression of what being professional means, right? Not only that, if you look up the qualities and the characteristics of a professional, I can assure you that you will find a very long and endless list of characteristics, personality traits, all kinds of things that are all in and of themselves technically correct. But this open-endedness, what it does is it leaves you, quite frankly, exposed to confusion, complexity, and indecision. And as we go through today's edification, you're going to see that the list of things that they describe are essentially, when you isolate them, they are perfectly fine. But what happens is when you contrast them and try to use them together in unison, what you end up with is some hypocrisy and some inconsistencies. But what is a professional? A professional is just like what it means to be proficient, right? So a professional is somebody who is highly skilled, right? Somebody who has a high degree of skill, a high degree of knowledge, a high degree of expertise in a particular area. So what it means effectively is that being a professional depends on what you do. So, for instance, in my particular field, as a professional, for me, being a professional requires a certain level, high level, of being organized, being diligent, being prepared, quite frankly, being there first, which is what leadership means. It means being the first person there to do everything initially, and then everybody comes in and follows either the pattern, the pathway, or the activity right? The actual act of what it is that you want done, or what it is that you want to achieve. So effectively, they will do the actions that are necessary to achieve the goal, as will I, as will I. But that's what it means to be a professional, to be proficient, which is a word that is very closely associated with being a professional. In fact, they could quite frankly be synonymous. But this is only a small part of what a professional is. And there is a functional side to this. And when I assessed it, I thought to myself, man, isn't this a lot like what being a bachelor is? And as I describe it to you, you're going to start to realize that being professional over at least a long period of time requires many of the skills and the characteristics associated with a bachelor's life, other than being a choice, right? Other than the bachelor's life being a choice. And then of course you can become a vasectomite, which will secure your position as a bachelor for life. And I know you are asking yourself, well, Ancient One, how do I become a vasectomite? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I have the answer right here. What you need to do is you need to go and freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. Go freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy for a myriad of reasons. A myriad of reasons. And one of those reasons I'm going to talk about as we continue our edification is the fact that a bachelor being a bachelor is really about survival, as is being a professional. Being a bachelor and being a professional is all about survival, right? And and when I was thinking about this, I thought, man, this cannot really be that simple, right? Yes, there are other things like you have to be on time, you have to be prepared, you have to deliver results and get the right outcomes, and of course, reward the right people in the right way, and so forth. These are all the rigors of leadership. But what brought this on is is that quite recently I've been going through what I would describe as major adjustments in staffing, in personnel, in personal tools in particular. By adjustments, I mean replacements. You see, being a professional, surviving, part of that is going to be using the best possible tools, as well as employing the best quality of employees, along with having a suitable program that is easy enough for people to learn quickly and be able to do efficaciously, but also of high standards, right? Of high standards that require a combination of skills, knowledge, and experience to get right in order to achieve the desired outcome, which is pretty much the outcomes of what corporate decides is the best thing to do moving forward. But in this process of getting things right, I asked myself, and in the process of replacements and restaffing personnel, that kind of things, and replacing tools, I asked myself, how many things in my life have I in fact replaced? Because it wasn't just, I mean, it started off several weeks ago, perhaps a few months ago, where I had electronic devices, smartphones, right, from the fruit company. And What had happened was I'm usually a person who carries two phones, right? So I have the work phone, which is just strictly for work with no kind of social media or anything on it, and then other than like what corporate deems necessary, right? Because they want you to be available and you don't want to mix up private and personal business. So then I have one, the ancient phone, which is full of all kinds of stuff. I mean, all kinds of stuff. But even these devices are new. I have a tablet, I have a laptop, I have all kinds of things, right? Digital cameras, which were all replaced. So I had a type of it previously and then repealed it and then replaced it with something else. But then I asked myself, how many things have I replaced? Right? How many things have I replaced? And I started just in these last few weeks. Because I've been doing so much running, I really have lost a tremendous amount of weight. So when I started, I had a certain type of, well, it's the same type of clothes really, but a certain size is really what I'm trying to describe. Lost a ton of weight, had to replace all of that. I mean, all of it. Underwear, socks, trousers, shirts, everything. I think everything except the ties. Belts, the belts had to go. The belts were really the first thing to go. And it was the purchase of another belt today. Actually, I bought another belt. So I bought a belt that, okay, so I had one that I started with, got rid of it. Bought another belt. That one got too big very, very quickly. Bought another belt. That one got too big very, very quickly. And I just bought a new one today. And I realized that over the last few months, I've pretty much cleaned out all of my clothes. I don't have a single thing that I can look around me now and say, I've had this thing since 2020. There's not a single thing in my life that I've had since 2020 when I look right now. Some pictures, some memories, perhaps, but not on these devices, not on these current devices, you know? Then I started going through it, right? Laptops, how many tablets, how many phones, how many shoes, how many clothes, how many jackets, right? I started to count just how many things I had repealed and replaced over the years. And in truth, I came to the conclusion that I had replaced everything, every single thing in my life that I have surrounding me is practically less than 5 years old. And I'm really like looking around to try and see how old is this, how old is that. I have nothing that's less than 5 years old, right? And this isn't just like professional things. And this is where the crossover came, right? So I had replaced a lot of professional things, and then I realized I had replaced a lot of private things. And then I realized I had just replaced everything. But I didn't just replace it once or twice. I've replaced everything in my life over and over and over again, over decades. And I mean everything from passports to counterparts to friends to cars, as well as anything, from apartments to jobs to everything in between, books. My current copy of The Art of War is a replacement of maybe 12 previous copies over the years, all of which I have no idea where they are. I'm pretty sure somebody stole those. I'm pretty sure somebody's been stealing my copies of the Art Awards. So I also have a digital copy too, but I do like to hold the the book version, right? The publication is the word that I'm looking for, especially in like public places. You know, when you read a book, like it's the first time you're reading it, but you've read it a million times, and you sort of just sit there publicly. I got a copy of it on my phone. I could be reading it on my phone, but I want to be seen doing the classic thing, reading a book. Makes me look and feel smart, even though I could possibly, just as easily do it on my phone, but I don't care, right? I don't care. I want to look pretentious, and I'm gonna do it. No one's gonna stop me. But it's not just the book. Like my current book can't be over more than 6 months old. My current copy can't be older than 6 months old. Even my digital copy isn't that old. There was one in a previous device, but that previous device is now long gone. So I needed a new version of that wonderful, magnificent manuscript. Please get yourself a copy of The Art of War by the Grandmaster of the Deceptive Art, Sun Tzu, and read it for yourself. Right? Of course, I mentioned that I changed pretty much all my clothes through weight loss. Through moving over the years from one place to another. So even though I still have the sanctum of solitude, to be honest with you, I could move to another country and be there for 3 or 4 years, where I'd probably have to leave everything in the sanctum as it is. Go away for a year, 2 years, 3 years. Yes, I'll be in and out pretty or periodically, every few months and so forth. It depends what corporate needs and where they need it, right? But ultimately, I could be away from my home for months at a time and then come back and look around and find that not only are some things old, many of the things are outdated and need an upgrade, and then you replace those. Even the sanctum of solitude, quite frankly, is a replacement of something else. And the chances are, if I have to be honest to myself, I'm probably going to replace the sanctum too. I mean, I've had lecturers, coaches, bosses, colleagues, good ones, gone, never seen them again. The list could go on and on and on endlessly of the things that I've replaced until it actually dawned on me that, it would probably be easier to count the things that I didn't replace. And I looked around and I realized that pretty much everything is a replacement of a replacement, right? And one of the things that I tried to do was to buy devices with a lot of memory so I could keep them for years and years and put my memory on there, my memories and whatever it is that I'm trying to do, my videos, my content, and put them on these reliable devices. But then I have to admit to myself that eventually I'm probably going to replace those two as soon as they come up. Well, not as soon as, but when they come up with a worthy replacement, something that is justifying of a purchase, I'll probably upgrade just so I could have the best possible tools so I could be effective at work and in other areas of life. Right? This includes, replacing tools for work, replacing colleagues, counterparts, friends. I cannot tell you the number of people that I've replaced in my life, not just professionally, but also privately. And we say all the time that most things are temporary in life, but indeed it seems like all things in life are temporary. It seems like all things in life, from relationships to marriages to commitments to all kinds of things. I cannot name a single permanent fixture in this life other than life itself. To be able to maintain a high level of professionalism and proficiency, you need to adopt a healthy attitude towards change. And the truth the obvious truth of the impermanence of life, and still maintain your own high standards, your own quality of life, and live up to those standards and maintain that quality of life, regardless of the changing nature of that life. And this is something that I think a lot of people will struggle with. We are really looking for something, and I think this is part of the reason why we are all looking for something that endures, something that is lasting, that is stable. But nothing is. Nothing is lasting, and nothing is stable. The temporary nature of things is also an indication why, on the one hand, you shouldn't put too much trust and faith in people. But on the other hand, you want to keep peace and cordial relations with everyone you associate with, especially in a professional environment. And the reason for this is because they could hurt you and destroy things for you and mess things up for you in a professional way, and then leave and disappear. And you will never see or hear from them ever again. Think about how many colleagues that you have lost, that you have never seen ever again. And I mean never again. And this is true of everyone. I mean, I think of, like, there were counterparts for whom I felt so strongly in my youth. You know, when you're young, you're full of passion, you believe love is real. But there are people that I felt so passionately about, and I was so absolutely certain about the extent to which I wanted to have this person be in my life forever. And it's been decades since I've spoken to that person, you know? And I think about, okay, who else? Who else? Who is there that has been with me forever and ever? And right now, I'm alone. It's just me. So I'm telling you, everyone is gone. Everyone that started the race with me, every single person is gone. And when I end this video, it'll be nothing. It'll just be me, unless I get up and go somewhere and go and look for things, which I'm not inclined to do, which I'm really not inclined to do. There are colleagues, friends, lovers that I spent years next to. Years. We were friends. We got along. And then when the end came, we exchanged numbers and emails and all kinds of things. And we said goodbye and we promised we would call and never spoke to each other ever again. Instead, what I got is a brand new everything. A new position, a new home, a new laptop, new phone, new counterpart, new colleagues, new apartment, right? New passport with a new passport number and new picture, right? It's like you could tell between one passport and the other that the years have gone by. That the years have gone by. The hunchback is more hunched, the teeth are more crooked. The eyes are further apart and the squint is, well, more squinted, right? And and ultimately one of the things that I became is the ancient one, the Bachelor Supreme on this platform here with you. And this is something that I'm doing also as a replacement to something else that I was doing. I'd like to think that all these replacements are based on upgrades, right? Upgraded tools, upgraded skills, upgraded homes, upgraded environment, upgraded professionalism, and so on and so forth. And eventually, I'm hoping to improve and upgrade. Well, not everything can improve and upgrade, but I'm hoping to be able to improve and upgrade my skills here too, which probably is going to require some type of change and some type of replacement. And and a part of me wonders if I'll ever see old colleagues again. But that's as likely to happen as like finding your old phone from 2015 or 2014 or 2013. And even if you did find that phone, what would you do with it? You probably wiped all the memory anyway. The camera's outdated, speakers outdated, modern apps probably might not work. And as for AI, forget about it. What would you do with this? What would you do if you bumped into a counterpart you haven't seen in 20 years? Well, I know what you'd do. You'd probably try to be intimate with them. But eventually, even then, you'd find out that, the years have gone. The years have gone, and they've grown in a particular way, and so have you. And part of being a professional, especially at work, is going to be accepting those changes and those replacements and still be able to function at a very high level. I think of the group of misfits. I call them my misfits, the ancient ones, misfits, the ones that I actually work with and manage. You and I, we have a completely different dynamic, right? We are the practitioners of the deceptive arts, whereas the misfits have no idea that I'm a practitioner of the deceptive arts. They have no idea that any of that even exists, right? So, you know, they ultimately will also come and go. And this group of misfits that I'm managing now is completely different to the group of misfits that I managed, let's say 6 to 8 months ago. Some came, some left, some are new, some are old. The ones that have been there for years or would have been there for years and years are all gone. The ones who would have hit, none of them have hit 5 years. None of them have hit 5 years. In fact, I don't think any of them have hit two. So they still look at me as a guy who's been there and done it, but and as the mature one. Also, not only because of my position, but I'm also older than them. I really don't employ people that are my age or older. Definitely don't employ an older person. And it's not because I'm intimidated or whatever, but I find that older people can be quite difficult to manage. And they can feel like they should be, just by virtue of age and life experience, that perhaps they could be or should be the ones that are holding the reins. And under other circumstances, this might be true. But in my situation, that's how you get fired. That is really the fastest way of getting fired. Trying to think that because of your age, you can be in charge of me. Oh, I'll fire you so quickly. I will absolutely take you out. Right? No, I'm not taking attitude from employees. I don't care how old you are or how much experience you have, right? Um, and even those people need to be replaced eventually. But most people that I'm managing are gonna be younger than me, at least 5 years. There's really, the older that I get, I find that the gap between the people that are higher gets wider and wider. So I'm at the point now where I'm not really hiring anybody like that's less than 5 years. Well, I'd say about 6 or 7, right? But there are people there that are like, they could be like 15, 20 years younger than me, right? And I'll work with those people because I can manage those people from a position of superiority, and they'll do what I want. But older people, you really can't do that, right? You really can't do that. But this group of new misfits is a completely different group. So there are some that are a little bit more experienced and some that have no experience at all. And and you have to deal with that as if it's a new dynamic. So you cannot treat the people that were in the old group with the same kind of values of the old group, but they need to be able to maintain the standards of the old group. But you also need to realize this is a completely different group, right? With a completely different dynamic. So you have to treat this group as a new group completely. Thereby completely having replaced the old group, or at least the dynamic of the previous group. Being a professional comes down to accepting the truth of change and impermanence of people, of things, and accepting that this is the true dynamic of human life. And 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 what you need to do as a bachelor, as a vasectomite, as a professional, is be prepared. Look at the people around you. We look at the people around you and accept that none of these people will be there in the end. Some of them, most of them, will be gone within the next 2 to 3 years. Now, for me, he who remains, one of the things that I did was I researched like people's salaries. Salaries like a cashier. How much does a cashier make? I looked at that salary and it shocked me. It shocked me. I started to find ways to justify how one could possibly live like that. My rent, my rent that I pay every month is almost double what these people's salaries is. I don't know how you can live on that. So, there are people who will tell you, you need to go start your own business. If you are one of those people earning the salary of a cashier and you're doing two jobs, in other words, you're doing two cashier jobs here, you might as well start your own business. Right? I couldn't really get that type of advice because of the situation that I'm in, that I have been in, right? So I told you, I graduated university and I was put in the position. And since then, I've just been rising, rising, rising to the point where I look at things like, I'll say to myself, well, maybe if I was on TV, I'd be successful. And then I look at like salaries of people that are on TV, still shocked. I'm like, okay, I'm not taking that money. That's a complete downgrade. I'll be like, well, radio personalities are doing really well. No, they're not. Not compared to me. Not compared to me. Not for decades. Like, I'm not inclined to leave my job or change my position. Not for anything other than maybe to be president of the company or president of the country. And I'm not saying that like lightly. Why do you think I'm covering my face? Why do you think I'm covering my face? I don't want to lose things just by saying get a vasectomy. Now I'm going to lose everything. It's not worth losing. I know some of you think you're going to be entrepreneurs and you're going to kill it. And I'm here to tell you, first of all, you're not. And secondly, not everybody wants that. Not everybody needs that. Like if you're earning a cashier salary and you saw my salary, you would be very upset. You would feel insulted, dehumanized. You would say, this is the problem with the world today. How can somebody that you are literally working with every day, breathing the same air, using the same product, doing the same thing, be out earning you so much? I mean, it's not even double. Like, I wouldn't even take double. Honestly, I wouldn't even take triple what these people make. I'd be like, no way. It's that bad. I'm not going to tell you how much it is, but it's like I wouldn't take triple that salary. I wouldn't take triple the salary of a cashier who works two jobs. No way, no way. It's really like that, right? And when you find yourself, that's why I say I'm at the citadel at the end of time, because I'm not inclined to move from where I am. Some of you might be, and I respect that, but one day you're going to find a position in a company that, they make it so difficult for you to go. They make it in such a way that when you leave, it's like a bad downgrade. It's what they call a downsize. It's not a downgrade. It's a downsize. Like everything is gonna need to be smaller. And I'm the kind of guy who's got like two or three of everything, right? Maybe not the devices because I don't really get that kind of usefulness. So like I'm not gonna get that kind of usefulness from two or three laptops. I'm only gonna end up using one, or two or three tablets. I'm only gonna get only using one. But two phones, I know I'll get that kind of usage out of them, right? But even then, I have to be able to accept. I have to be able to accept that it's gonna be impermanent. It's going to be impermanent. Everything is going to be impermanent, right? And to survive as a professional, even your favorite tools, even your best employees, right? Unless you're in a situation like what I described with myself, where, I mean, even like they'd have to make me a leading man in a Hollywood blockbuster, that kind of money, for me to be like, okay, I'll walk away. And I don't mean like to be a leading man, but I'd need leading man kind of money to be able to. I'm being so serious. I looked at those salaries and I thought, oh my God. Oh my God. And every time I look at like a cashier, they all got wedding rings on. I'm like, okay, that means you got kids too. You're feeding a family on this. You are feeding a family on this minuscule amount of money. No, 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 man. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could do that. But one thing I am certain is that as long as corporate keeps paying these misfits the amount of money that they are paying them, we are going to have high turnovers. As soon as they get an opportunity to make even the slightest amount of money, they're going to go. And I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't blame them, right? I mean, I'm not going to go, right? If I left, people would be shocked. Like, what? Why would you do such a dumb thing? And I'll say, well, I'm going to start my own YouTube channel. No way. You could do both, as I'm doing right now, until this channel proves to be more profitable than, the corporate incentive package. I don't know about all that. You know, I don't know about all that. What I should be ready to do is to upgrade when corporate upgrades the system and the tools, and the hardware, upgrade with it. Let those that want to go, and let those that remain, and just keep replacing them. I will remain. I will remain for as long as I can, you know. And then obviously corporate's gonna let you go. Corporate is not gonna let you stay over a certain period amount of time unless you are a shareholder, or extremely high-ranking official like chairman of the board or something. Which maybe one day I might be. Who knows? I might be chairman of the board one day, you know. And then they might let me go after that, shareholders meetings and such. They could decide anything in those meetings, right? But ultimately, the current chairman has to go, and then he must be replaced. And even then, as chairman of the board, he's still probably got to be replaced, right? So replacement is the name of the game, one way or the other. And rather than hoping, wishing, dreaming that change will not come, you need to accept it. And accept it as not only a bachelor, but also a vasectomite. In fact, of all of these changes, the only thing that I'm absolutely certain will still be there in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years is a vasectomy. Unless I go through the process of reversing it, but I'm certain that everything around me now, everything I wear, everything I use, everything I touch, will absolutely be gone. Except this vasectomy. The vasectomy will endure. And as long as I'm here, the vasectomy will be here. 110%. This is the anchor for me in a world of really, truly replaceable things. This is the thing that I come back to and say, you know what? Vasectomy life, right? The bachelor life, in fact, the vasectomy life, is in itself a replacement of the bachelor life. And I remember saying I was going to be a bachelor for life, and now here I am, the voice of the vasectomites, right? This is for me not an indication of failure, but an evolution of success. And everyone, they say one success truly begets another success. And it was a lifetime of surviving in the romance wars, the relationships, never being married, never having kids, having to refuse intimacy with a pregnant, or with rather with a woman that I thought I would get pregnant. There were some women, man, that you just looked at her, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sneeze on this woman and get her pregnant. When they say child bearing, there are just some women you look at them and you're like, man, this is some child bearing features here, and these are real. These are not like, artificial or upheld by cosmetics or costumes or anything like that. No, no, no. As God intended it. As God intended it. And you just have to let those go. You just have to let those go, man. As good as it might be, you just have to let it go because she's going to get inseminated. You know, and opportunities like that are the reason for survival, right? Having counterparts come and go, jobs come and go, and holding on to the bachelor life and thinking, man, I'm gonna hold on to this bachelor life forever. And now here I am, a vasectomy. Things change. Things really change all the time, and in corporate they change quickly. They change quickly, and part of being a professional, part of being a bachelor, in fact, even part of being a vasectomy is going to be how you deal with change and how you accept change, right? And accepting that things will change and, in fact, change again. I'm looking at all the things that I have now, and I'm absolutely sure none of them will be here by 2030. So, in our edification today, we have 12 important professional qualities that you need to develop. It's said that this article was updated June 7th, 2025, which is fairly recently. It gave credit to the Indeed.com team, which is where it comes from at www.indeed.com, and there's the link to the actual article if you'd like to read it. But it didn't give any specific author any credit, and I don't think I'm going to start accrediting Indeed.com teams or Psychology Today teams. So if you know that your article is going to be featured, or you have some type of premonition that your article is going to be featured on this platform, please put your name on it so we can give credit to you, because we are going to use your information for our own benefits. But rather than plagiarize it, we'd rather just give you credit. But it is an excerpt from, of course, a much larger article, but not much larger than what we are going to read. Again, it was a meaningless introduction. This one was particularly meaningless. I thought there's no way I'm going to spend a chunk of content time reading meaningless things when I could go right to the meat of it. And here we are, the meat and not the bones. Important professional qualities. Having these 12 professional qualities can help you succeed in your career. There you go. How much more of an introduction do you need than that? To be fair, I just did one for 45 minutes. That was another part of it. I was like, I'm gonna do my own introduction and then do an introduction after an introduction. We're just gonna spend all days doing introductions. I don't know. Number one, a willingness to learn. True professionals are always open to learning more and advancing their skill set, yes, as are true bachelors. In order to survive and be able to replace things, the best thing to do is to get better things. Now, with when it comes to like personnel and employees and people and that kind of thing, better might not actually mean better. So you might have somebody who's hardworking, who's diligent, highly educated, very experienced, very professional, who comes highly rated, but is absolutely unskilled in the process, in the protocols, in the standards of the corporation. This is why training is necessary for new employees, even if you're brilliant, so that they can get you into the system and into the thing, into the swing of things. And then once you've been trained, then you can use your skill to advance the system and the interests of the corporation. But yes, you know, one of the things that you're going to want to do is learn more. And this is something that we do here every day on the platform. And yeah, if you think I'm going to get tired of reading articles, you're out of your mind. You know what I mean? I spend all day with complex documents. Reading this list, no problem. No problem. So, you know, as long as there are articles to read, by the way, it's really just that simple to make this content. Get yourself an article and read it. You don't even have to read it well, right? Be informative, be informative, be informative. Stop trying to be entertaining. Stop trying to be funny. You're not going to pull it off. And if you do, it's going to be for a very short time. Be informative, and if you're funny, tell jokes about the information that you are delineating. And if you're like me, you're not funny at all, then you can take a serious approach to this information. But I'm absolutely sure that a comedian who is like running out of content can pull up an article and just rip it to shreds, especially a political one. In a political climate such as we are in, you can attack every side of politics, but you just need the substance, you need the content. So yeah, go ahead and read, man. There's nobody who doesn't benefit from reading this. And if you're not interested in reading for yourself, just read for other people. So, you know, put on the camera and start reading for other people. You don't have to dissect every word the way that I do. I'm obsessive, right? And I know myself. So, you know, I could, you know, for instance, I could do an entire video on just a willingness to learn, the characteristics of a person who wants to learn, or the characteristics of a positive attitude. You know what I mean? So I'll never run out of like information and content. It's the easiest thing I could do. But you too can go ahead and read other people's works, read other people's articles. Just give them credit, and so they can get like some benefit from it and use their website, so at least they could get like some traction, at least some interaction, you know. But ultimately, learning is the ultimate skill if you're going to be a survivor as a professional. You gotta learn new survival skills. I think of how the world was in 2009. 2009, 99% of the world had never put their hands on a smartphone. By 2012, 60% of the world had smartphones. And today it's almost 80%. This is pretty much the whole world, like 7 billion people. It's over 7 billion people, in fact, that have smartphones around the world. So you gotta learn, especially how to use these devices. Man, you have to be good at technology. Smartphones and laptops. One of the things that I did was I sat down and watched like a 2 hour video in how to use almost every function on my laptop, right? Or at least the operating systems of these laptops, right? You know, the lap the I don't know, room with a view, right? You know how you look through the, you know, you see the view through the room. the company that provides that view, that you know, the glass company that makes the operating systems. I'm not going to use these companies, man. I don't want to get sued, right? You know the fruit company who I'm talking about, so you know the glass company, so you can see through the glass to the view. You know what I mean? And I sat and learned how to use that whole thing to the point where now I'm always on the settings page, right? So I'll open the settings and I'm adjusting all kinds of things on the settings. And it depends on the situation. If I'm in a casual situation, I'll open a casual thing. If I'm in a professional environment, I'll, you know, open professional like settings and continue in that way. But you really need to learn everything about technology, everything that you can. You can do this through continued education or self learning. I like both. Rather than waiting for your manager to train you, you initiate the learning. A high quality employee is eager to try new things and even learn from making mistakes along the way. No, absolutely not. Do what your employer is telling you. Do it so well that you can teach other people to do it. Don't do your own thing, trying to be eager just for you to end up making mistakes, because then we got to go back, fix the mistake, and then once we fix the mistake, only then can we start doing whatever it is that we were doing in the right way. The cause of failure is making mistakes, right? So, and the prevention is to be accurate, and focused, right? But yeah, this whole learning through mistakes thing is a big mistake. Consider that there are really no new mistakes in life, at least as a human being. Every problem you've had as a human being, somebody has had it. And they wrote a book about it. And all you had to do was read the book. But because you haven't read the book, you're making now the same mistake as they did. Learn from other people's mistakes, not from yours. And if you think it won't happen to you, just go to the child support court and have a look at the people who think it won't happen to them. It's happening to them. Number two is a positive attitude. Having a positive attitude is an important professional quality because it's a key part of facilitating a good work environment. Your positive attitude can inspire others to feel the same way. By having a sense of optimism, you're more likely to work towards a solution rather than dwelling on the problem. Positive people tend to have a can do attitude, which helps work towards the company's goal. It's all about the company in the end, right? Corporate, they want to achieve those results and hit those statistics. You need to have a positive attitude about replacing people. Bachelors, we tend to have bravado, right? We tend to be braggadocious about things that other people are very concerned about. So while we might say, I replace counterparts, I replace lovers, I move from one to the other, the truth is not just that it's happening, but it's also a matter of necessity, right? Because these relationships end for nothing, man. These marriages end over towels and teaspoons, right? So you have to understand that even the strongest marriage ends. And upon ending, the only thing that happens is both these people just move on to start another relationship. As a matter of fact, their relationship was a replacement of a relationship. Many times, people who are getting married will tell you, I've had an ex-boyfriend, I've had an ex-girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. I dated this person before this person, and now I'm married. It's a replacement of a replacement. The packaging of products, even a product that has stood the test of time, like the soft drink company, right? The Coca company, right? The cola company has had their secret formula for almost over 100 years, I'm sure. I think it's going on like 200 years, right? They've had the rights to the secret formula. They keep making a very reliable product that the world enjoys very, very much. But even that product, they've had to change the packaging. I don't know how many times they've changed the packaging from a bottle to a can to back to a bottle to a plastic to a 2 liter plastic, a 2.5 liter plastic, 1 liter plastic. I mean, it's just a matter of time before they're selling a gallon of the stuff. And I don't know why they're not selling it at a gallon at a time. Because they could. Because they could, they just need the right kind of packaging. What we need is to develop a positive attitude towards change. Professionally, knowing that your colleagues will come and go. Socially, knowing that these counterparts will come and go. As well as with material things. Knowing that things will get old, you're going to want better things, you're going to want to move in a bigger house, the more money you make. And even there, you're going to need furniture. And as the years go, you're probably going to need to replace that furniture too. For other things, for other more modern tastes, more modern feels. Imagine people who had bought a TV in the 90s, thinking that they could have the same TV today, and now we've got plasma screens on the wall, right? Now, these kind of people who are living in the past, they'll hold on to it, and it's going to miss them to the past, and it's going to make them miserable. You need to have, I was thinking of creating a system of transition. I know I have one at work where I can say, okay, I'm starting from the beginning. And people who've watched me train my glorious group of misfits, they'll say, oh, you're doing the same thing again. Yes, I'm doing the same thing again, over and over again. To me, it's the same old same, right? I've been doing it since university. So I came out and practiced the same skill at the same level, but adjusted it to corporate needs, right? And so this person, we put them through the same system to achieve the same goals. Part of my job isn't just to make sure that the system was good, but to do it in a way that I could improve it, to improve efficiency, to improve output, to reduce delays, that kind of situation. But I ultimately, it started, you'd have a colleague that you would miss, and the people that are there now, they don't remember that colleague. They have no knowledge of who you are pining over. They just see you as a person who's pining. And I thought to myself, I cannot be seen by remaining employees, and especially new employees, as a person who's pining over anything. Because then they're going to ask me, what's the problem? I'm going to say, oh, I lost a really good employee. She was like this, she was like that. And they're going to say, it's been weeks, it's been months, it's been years. Let go. It's ridiculous. And that person, if you really miss them that much, why don't you just call them? Just call them and hang out with them after hours. But and if you do care about people that much, you can always call them back. But you do need a process of replacement. And you need a good attitude about it, right? Number 3, conflict resolution. When a conflict arises, a professional works to resolve the problem. They use productive communication to learn all sides of the story and work towards a compromise. It is important that during such situations you remain neutral and carefree of what you say to others. Professionals may tend to be a bigger person and only speak kindly of their colleagues. It's professional to keep conflict private and to follow company procedures and to handle them. I don't think this third point has anything to do with what we are discussing. But to discuss it all on its own, conflict resolution is absolutely critical at work. You don't want it to be your conflict, but if there's a problem, especially with the misfits, there's always a conflict with the misfits. So you gotta resolve that. But you want to make sure that you don't have any conflicts of your own with people. And if you do, resolve them. Because they will hurt you and mess things up for you and disappear and you never see them again. This is the problem with the temporary nature of things. So while you have a positive attitude towards it, you need to make sure that positive attitude extends to people who are staying, to people who are transitioning, and to people who are going. Because those that are staying are going to transition, those that are transitioning are going to go. And if those that are going have a grudge against you, they're going to burn you. They'll be talking behind you. Helpfulness is number 4. And I'm not sure about how helpful that I can be. Well, I can tell you something. My personality is not one of a helpful person. So one of the things that I hide very, very much at work is my personality and my disdain for knee benders. So actually, I'm very helpful at work. I'm always sharing stationery. I'm the kind of person, by the way, who at work, like you go to the grocery store and at the stationery section there by the kids, they'll have like a container with like, I don't know, 10 pens or 25 pens. I don't know how many pens they have in there. I actually have one of those. There isn't 25 pens in there. All my pens are gone. Almost all my pens are gone. Right? But effectively, people will say, "Oh, do you have a pen?" And I'll give them a pen. Take a pen. And you can now use your pen for whatever you want. Right? But I think helpfulness goes hand in hand with conflict resolution. When people come to you looking for a solution and you turn them away, without even trying or being able to, you just tell them to go away if you're able to, but you don't, or you don't even try, you don't even engage. People can take that the wrong way. They could be very resentful that you didn't help them. I'll remember my own situation where a colleague lived near me and he wanted to start a lift club situation. And I said, absolutely not. I said, absolutely not. Number one, I didn't want my colleague. Now, every day I'm responsible for this guy's transportation. If I'm late and I want to rush, I can't rush, right? If I'm early, I can't leave early. I have to wait to leave at the optimal time just to engage this person. I said, absolutely not. It is too much responsibility for me. He resented me forever. He needed that help so badly. I drove right past his house on my way to work. I mean, literally, like right past his house. If he had stood on the side of the road, I would have easily been able to pick him up and continue without having to detour. But I didn't want the responsibility. Okay, so what happens when he's late? Now, I'm late too. I'm in management. I'm in management. I cannot afford to be late and then blame an underling and say, well, he was late coming out the door and then there was traffic. No way. There are times when I could be at work an hour early and stay 2 hours later. And he didn't take none of that into consideration. All he saw was when I'm at work, he's at work. And when he goes home, he doesn't care where any of us are. But the truth is, I could be at work an hour earlier. And he comes in, he thinks I've just arrived when I've been killing it for 45 minutes and you are late. He won't even know that. And then he rushes off and I'm still sitting at my table, killing it. Because I'm there for another 2 hours at least. But he's out rushing through the door and I'm thinking to myself, that would have been me. That would have been me rushing through the door, not doing my extra time, my overtime every time. But refusing him, I just said no, and I didn't want to justify it. Because I know that every justification I had, he would have been able to say, oh, no, don't worry. Because he needed the transportation more than he needed the time. He would have happily come to work an hour early in the first few weeks, right? And then later say, hey man, isn't this something we can do? Can't we like get or there like only 30 minutes early? No. It's an hour in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. It's not 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there. You see, now I'm living the life of a knee bender, negotiating with success, telling success, well, you know what? Can I do half the work? Success is going to be like, yeah, but you only get half the reward. Hopefully. If this half and half business actually works, which it probably won't, because you need to be all in order to be successful. If it works, you're not going to get the same results. And they cannot negotiate with success. You either put in what success demands or you step aside. When you put in extra effort, it's likely that your team will notice and appreciate the value you add to the workplace. This is true. Showing that you are willing to take on new responsibility can prove that you are ready for the next step in your career. This is also true. Those who do more may be more qualified for a promotion or a raise. That is also true. But then you have to understand that getting that raise and that promotion means that you have to do even more. So what they've seen is, oh, they'll say, well, for $2 you'll do this much. What if we give you $5? What will you do then? Right? So you can't say, well, now that I've got a raise, I'm gonna do less. No way. No way. But you have to understand that an inability or a refusal to help people can make them quite resentful against you. Integrity is an important trait for any person to have. It ensures that you are trustworthy and honest, or at least pretend to be, about your decision. It means that you genuinely want to see your team succeed and will work towards the common goal. You have integrity. People feel secure about letting you work with private information and important tasks. Just do what corporate tells you, man. And don't break corporate laws, otherwise, they'll fire you. In work, you don't need integrity. They have things to make sure that you don't, steps, procedures, protocols in place to make sure that you don't go stepping out of bounds or mistreating customers or that kind of thing, right? So, your integrity at work is absolutely guaranteed as a professional. But out in the world, where people are all temporary, where you could tell the truth about yourself to somebody, and in 3 weeks you never see that person again, and there they are with all your lies, all your secret. You know, everyone is temporary, man. Just accept that. All your girlfriends are temporary, all your best friends are temporary. When I pause in this video, you can hear how empty this house is. There's no one else in here. And that is an indication to me. The fact that I'm here all alone by myself at the sanctum of solitude is proof and evidence that everyone, and I mean everyone, is temporary. And the fact that I'm here at the sanctum of solitude, surrounded by all new things, it tells me that everything is temporary too. This existence is proof of that, right? So you want to show integrity to somebody that is temporary, good luck with all that. But you do want to be honest about the work that you do, especially if you have the capacity to do good work, right? So don't lie about your work and don't make excuses about your work. But anything outside of that, just remember whoever you're being honest with is only going to be temporary. Calm under stress. I'd like to think I'm this kind of person. You know what I what upsets me. I don't mind dealing with stressful situations. I don't mind dealing with stressful people. I hate dealing with incompetent people under stressful situations. Nothing upsets me more than when a person tries to be a clown. You know, when we are doing like a product launch, there's nothing bigger than a product launch. It's a situation of corporate has invested as corporate has gone to, I'm not gonna call it borrowing money, but what they've done is they've called people to chip in. By chip in, I mean like $1 billion, right? So people will come in and they'll chip in. And they'll chip in because you promised them certain profits. These profits don't come to them directly. These profits go on to like the ledger or something. These profits demonstrate the health of the company. High profits means healthy companies. The shareholders who put the money in so that you could buy the product, hire the people, the machinery, the materials to create the product, do the marketing to sell the product, put it in the stores, put it on the shelves, transportation, logistics, all of that. And they do this so they can make profits. So they want to see that if they invest $1 billion, they can make $2 billion, right? And they're not going to give those profits back to the shareholders. What they're going to do is keep them as a seed money for future projects, pay salaries and so forth. But ultimately, the way shareholders are going to get their cash back is by selling the shares of a profitable company at a higher rate than what they invested into the company. So I invested 100 million. I get $100 million worth of shares. Those shares go through the roof. Now, what was once $5 a share is now $20 a share. Now I can sell X amount of shares, get $100 million back, get my money back, and still have shares in a healthy company that I can sell again for another 100 million, right? So this is how they get their money back, right? This is how their value is guaranteed, so that even if the money is lost, they can still sell the shares, right? So even if the CEO makes terrible calculations, the investors can still sell their shares. That's why you're like a company goes bankrupt, but the investors are killing it because they know that whoever's gonna buy in the company is gonna just sell off their assets and just keep what's profitable, so they can sell. That's why you see them selling shares. They'll say, well, these shares were once $20 and now they're $15, and people will sell their shares and they'll be like, well, how could you sell your shares at $13? Because he got them at 3 and he waited for them to go up to 20, then he saw them drop to 17 to 15 to 13, then he was like, okay, at 10 I'm only doubling my money, but at 15 I'm almost tripling it. I'm selling, right? But don't let there be a clown among the misfits during a product launch. If we are launching a product and time is moving, and the customers are coming, and there you are cracking jokes, I cannot tolerate that. I'm kicking you out of the launch. Go home. Get out. Get out. I'd much rather have like one clown can disrupt an entire mission just by refusing to stop clowning around. I've seen that happen a million times, right? Just one clown destroys everything when we have the option of just letting him go. Even if we need 10 people to do the job, you're better off with 9 people that actually want to do the job than you are with 15 people and only half of them want to do the job. And the others are just bodies. No, 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 no. You gotta let go of these people, you know? Remaining calm during stressful situations is how you can show true professionalism. I'm never generally stressed by the situation. only by incompetence. This is especially important when working with clients or customers, true. Rather than focus on the chaos, you can take a moment to breathe and figure out a solution. Staying poised and confident can help you maintain healthy relationships even when situations are more intense. Solution oriented, I'm results oriented, right? One of the reasons is I ask myself, what is the goal that I'm trying to achieve, socially, professionally, and so forth, and then I put in the steps to, to achieve that, right? I'm imagining that being solution oriented is kind of similar or more or less along the lines, right? Because by orientation, I assume they mean a standard, right? So in a conflict situation, you will be the one that's looking to, solve the problem, resolve the problem, right? When a problem arises, a professional person, I beg your pardon, instantly starts to create a proactive solution. I like that word, proactive. Instead of just pointing out a problem you find, you share the problem and then offer a way to fix it. This is really what I'm all about. I hate it when you bring a problem for me to fix, right? It's one thing you have the problem, you have the solution, and you can tell me I have a small part for you to play in the solution. Okay. But if you don't have no solution at all and I suggest a solution and you say no, you're going to upset me. Like the first solution I give you and you reject it, you're going to upset me because you don't have no solutions of your own. So take mine. You should be grateful, right? But that being said, again, if somebody needs help at work and you don't help them, they can be resentful. At the same time, it depends on what the help is. I remember the colleague who was getting married. I told him not to get married. He got married. He started having migraines for 3 days, right? For like a week or something, right? Telling him not to get married, which would have fixed his problem before it even became a problem, that would have been a problem. He wasn't ready to receive that. So, and the same person that I refused to give a lift club to, he also wasn't ready to face the reality. Imagine work finished at 3 o'clock, or at least your job finished at 3 o'clock, but you can only start leaving the office at 5:30. And you ask yourself, well, what am I sitting here for? Yeah, why are you sitting here for? Because I have something to do, but you don't. You know, I was being solution oriented, but he may have saw it differently. And even if I explained the situation to him, like I said, he was just gonna find a way for me to, find a way around it. He was gonna say, okay, then you can take me and come back. Like, no, you just doubled my costs, man. You know, when you can contribute innovative or unique ideas to a brainstorming session, it shows that you have initiative. Always be thinking of ways to make other people's job easier or prevent problems entirely. I agree. To be self motivated, this is us, right? We motivate ourselves in our own goals. Being able to motivate yourself shows that you have a sense of independence indeed. Managers tend to appreciate employees, some managers, who can figure out what they need to do with a little direction. Absolutely not. A self motivated person can stay on task, maintain their energy, and show their ambition. This is a problem. Finding ways to motivate yourself, such as maintaining healthy habits and creating personal reward system, another problem, can help improve this quality. Man, we got a lot to talk about here. Not every manager appreciates a person who does their own thing. Not every manager appreciates that. It's one thing for you to find a way to do what we do faster. But if you're going to come in and change things about the system just because you think they're harder or they're more complicated, I'm not having that. Right? If you think, oh, we could just simplify this, I'm not having that. I don't want it simplified, I want it improved. I don't need it to be simple, I need it to be better. If you can make it simpler and make it better, I will accept that. But if all you're doing is saying, well, I don't like doing it this way, I want to do it this way, that's unacceptable. That's really unacceptable. You need to do things the way we do them at the time that we do them so that you can be effective for the corporation, not make things easier and better for yourself with a little direction. Self-motivated people do not stay on task. Self-motivated people do not stay on task. They stay on their own task. So they'll what a self-motivated person is going to try and do is to use the opportunity you've given them to advance in another opportunity. He's going to try and start his own company. He's going to try and start his own company eventually, and of course he's going to fail, right? Because he thinks that that's enough. He really thinks that's enough to be successful, right? But now you've got more tasks. So you couldn't be successful at this task. And what you think to be successful is to go get a job that gives you more tasks. That's a bad idea. That's a really, really bad idea. I'm a self-starter, but I also understand that there is a system here with which we need to function. And we need for that system to be successful. I need that system at work to be successful so that I can have money to buy things. It's really that system. And upon that system failing and falling apart and collapsing, that simply means no money for me. And that's not okay. That's a problem with self-starters. Like self-starters are very terrible managers and they're very terrible people to manage. And they're not very good at business, by the way. So it's there's a consistency that you need to have at business. So if you're selling, Coca, you're going to be selling that for 200 years. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You're going to be selling one product for 200 years. Self-starting people, they want to move on to the next thing. You know, these people that build companies, sell them and move on to the next one. To build that and then try and see what they can salvage and then move on to the next one. Right? So that's what self-starters are like. That's what self-starters are like. Really, they just they are finishers. I mean, sorry, they are starters and not finishers. Whereas I'm really more of the person you call to conclude projects, right? I'm the one I'm for me, I say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Keep the end in mind, become results oriented. I say it in a myriad of different ways, but ultimately, if you're going to be self-motivated, that's going to be a problem, because I know that eventually you're not going to want to do what I say, you're going to want to do what you want to do, and that's a problem, right? That's an absolute problem. A kind demeanor is what kicks off the final stage of this. I agree. If you're going to be a professional, you need to be you need to have a kind demeanor. Again, kindness, politeness, helpfulness, these are not tools that you need to use for success in the deceptive arts. It's been a long day, right? In the deceptive arts, kindness, generosity, helpfulness, patience, these are all defense mechanisms. These are the things that you give to people so they don't attack you. Instead of telling them, no, leave me alone, let me finish my work, and when I'm done, I will address you. No, 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 no. You stop working, you give them attention, right? This is going to prevent you from being attacked. So instead of somebody saying, oh, can you bring me to work every day? You tell them, yes, I can, but only on Tuesdays and Wednesday. because Monday, Thursday, and Friday I'm doing my extra time, overtime every time, and I started an hour earlier and I leave or maybe 2.5 hours later. So if you're willing to take your 8 hour workday with an hour's transportation and turn it into a 12, 13, or 14 hour workday, then yeah, I'll give you a lift. Yeah, I'll absolutely give you a lift. Right? But then saying that would have just caused more problems. It would have just caused more problems. A professional always treats work colleagues with kindness. Yes, do that so they don't attack you. They try to be helpful, say nice things, and uplift those around them. Do all those too, just so people don't attack you and don't ruin you. This is part of the deceptive arts. This is why deceptive people are struggling with niceness. And I'm one of those people who struggles with niceness. I'm not a very nice person. I think I'm too direct and too specific. But, I do have to show kindness to people, especially professionally, right? Because, again, they'll ruin you and then leave, and then you never see them again. But you're stuck here trying to fix the problems of a person who, isn't inclined to say anything nice about you. Even if they ask them, is this true? Is this true? Now that they're gone from the corporation, they can lie and say whatever they want. And there would be nothing you could do to prevent it, So you gotta say nice things to them and help them out with their problems, even if they're not your problems. Likewise, they try to make a good impression on behalf of the company. Yeah, make a good impression on behalf of the company, guys. Watch YouTube. They're giving us this opportunity, and I think it's incumbent on us to not only keep the platform going and thriving, but also to encourage other people to participate and watch, not just me, but others. Whether this is through the way they dress or act, they are always remembering that they are representative of where they work. It is important to be mindful that you put into the world. It's important that you be mindful what you put into the world, since it can be a reflection on your company's employee standards. I Okay, so representing the company, this is what I think about representing the company. When you work for the corporation, you don't represent your values, you represent the values of the corporation. So I'm not a knee bender, but I'm aware that many people are at work. So I represent benderism. Man, nobody benderizes like me at work. Talking about dating, love, relationships, how did y'all meet, all kinds of things, right? Because I don't want to be attacked. It's a defense mechanism, and it's a very, very powerful one. It's a very, very, very powerful one, right? But you try to impress to make a good impression on behalf of the company, sure, but you also try to make a good impression on behalf of yourself. Number 10 is responsible. Other employees and management can expect a professionally acting person to get their work done. If you say you're going to do something, you follow through on it. Using a calendar try to keep track of comments and always showing up on time are things professionals are sure to do. Yeah, don't be late. Don't be late. Don't be late. Don't be late. Sun Tzu says, he who is first to the battle will be ready for the fight, but he who arrives later will be exhausted. Therefore, you should impose your will on the enemy, but do not allow the enemy to impose their will on you. Be there first. Be there early. And when you get there, make sure that you decide the circumstances, right? Really, it is a serious thing to be on time. It's a very serious thing to be on time because people could be other places. It's not just a strategic advantage, but people could be other places doing other things. But instead, they're sitting here waiting for you, and you told them 5 minutes, 5 minutes ago. So, now they know it's at least 15 minutes. Because from the parking lot to the roomway is at least 15 minutes. Right? So now with your 5 minutes, it's already 20 wasted minutes, right? You really have to be careful about time. You need to control that time. Just wake up earlier. Sleep early so you can wake up early. Likewise, if they find that they cannot finish a task on time or make a meeting, they promptly communicate this and find a solution for such situations. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't make excuses for why you're late. Just get the job done. Stay up later, do the extra time, do the overtime every time. That's what extra time, overtime every time is for because 8 hours isn't enough to work to be successful. You need more. Look at the people that are working 8 hours, right? That's who you are. That's who you are. And you don't want that, right? You don't want that. Likewise, it says if they find they, oh yes, sorry, to call people. Now I realize what I was trying to say. People don't like excuses, man. Really, people don't like excuses. Excuses are bad news. So if you're gonna come to someone and explain why something didn't work or why something didn't happen, that's gonna be a problem because they like made promises based on your promises. Now that you're breaking promises, they have to go break promises and they have to do what you did. You made an excuse about somebody else. Now he has to go and make an excuse using you. This is a problem. This is the problem, right? You just need to be more organized. You just need to be more organized, right? And when you get new people coming in, just know that you're gonna have to get them into the system too. Number 11, collaborative. Along with working well on their own, a professional employee can effectively collaborate with others. Having a strong teamwork skills make you pleasant to work with and give you, having strong teamwork skills makes you more pleasant to work with and may give you more opportunity to work on new projects. I don't really work in a team. I manage a team, but I don't work in a team. A key component of being collaborative is giving others the chance to share their opinion and insights. Ugh. Fine, tell me what you think. I'll write it down and we'll see what we can do. But if you say beanbag one time, I'll buy the beanbag just so I can throw it at you. No beanbags. No beanbags, right? So yeah, I mean, I'll listen to what you say, but I'm not taking to it. I'm not taking it to heart, right? Giving co-workers a chance to speak and building upon what they say is a important part of being a team player. I'm not a team player. Really, I'm not a team player, but I know when we have like regional meeting with corporate and that kind of thing, I have to be towing the company line, right? And we need to discuss strategy in terms of what corporate desires. So yes, as people in leadership, we have to give solutions, and of course, all my solutions are based on the art of war and strategy. So, but I'll give those as like life lessons. I'll teach strategy in terms of life's lessons to like employees. So I'll tell them, man, you need to be more prepared. Or you need to know the difference of dealing with like powerful people and people on your level. I'll teach them the art of war, but I'll say it in a way that is not seemingly strategic or not seemingly obvious, especially since I know some of them might have read the book too, right? But I don't really look for collaboration in the team. I look for individual achievements And if everybody hits their mark, then I know the product will be fine, it'll be successful, it'll sell, rate of success will be high, right? So the system will work as everybody works individually, the system works around that, right? So I'm not really a big fan of team sports. So while I'll watch team sports, I'm not playing a team sport, especially one where there's goals and I'm not scoring goals, right? But I don't really manage teams. I mean, I beg your pardon, I don't really work in a team, I manage teams. And what I must accept is that, the teams are going to be changing and changing and changing every few months. And in a matter of 2 years, it means I really won't have anyone from the original team, right? Again, a reason for you to want to be kind and generous and patient, with everyone, right? So, yes, you do want to hear what people want to say, but you want to have a protocol for that. So when people say, well, we want to be able to give our opinions and our concerns, you need to be able to say to them, you need to say to them, you know what, that's well within your rights. And not only that, it's perfectly legal. If you have something or a concern, you need to address it in this particular format and in this particular way. And if you cannot, you can type your concern, send it to me, and I will format it and send it forward. But I need you to give me your concern in writing, right? Whether it's by email or whether it's by paper, so that I can do what I need to do. But yeah, collaboration not for me, right? But I think, especially if you have like the same spirit throughout, all your colleagues, it's manageable. Confidence is the last one. Being confident in your role is, let me do that again. Being confident in your role is one way to show that you are an effective employee. Volunteering to give a presentation or train a new team member communicates how, I beg your pardon, communicates that you know how to do your job well. Standing up straight, dressing with purpose, and acknowledging your co-workers are all ways to show your confidence. Just do a good job. Then you don't have to show confidence. You don't have to show characteristics, that kind of thing. But one thing you can be confident of, one thing you can be confident of now that we are at the end of the list, is that things, yes, you need all these leadership skills, but you need to apply these professional skills. These are also leadership skills, by the way. These professional skills are absolutely leadership skills. And that's why my mind went to leadership skills, because I apply some of these skills and knowledge in my own leadership capacity. But when we talk about being professional, it's really about accepting change with confidence, right? So if things change, if you lose a colleague, if you lose an employee, and you start falling apart because of change, you don't fit leadership. You don't fit the standard of being professional. So if you have like a device that's really working well, you love it, but it's time to let go of that device and you bemoan that, that's an indication that you are not truly prepared for leadership, for being professional, right? Being able to accept that people come and go, and once they're gone, they're probably gone forever, is not only going to give you peace of mind, it's going to give you stability. Then when somebody says, like, there was this gentleman who, their lives were perfectly fine, but his wife said she wanted to move to California and live the dream, and he let her go. And she was back in no time at all. I mean, I'm sure she did whatever she did, had her fun, and came back. But ultimately, if he had followed her, he would have just destroyed his life. You know, he had to just let her go and accept that, she was a temporary person. If she was a permanent person, she wouldn't want to be moving to the other side of the country. You know, people are very temporary. People are very, very temporary. The most temporary thing you'll have in your life. But the most permanent thing is going to be to freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. And that's what you really need to do. And you also need to accept that change is permanent. It's not that they say change is the only permanent thing. And that doesn't mean that change is inevitable. It means change is happening all the time. It's happening to you, it's happening to your kids, it's happening to everyone. And you need to accept that and deal with that. Professionally, especially, you really cannot collapse, as a professional, just because the person who used to sit next to you is now sitting somewhere else. You cannot allow your life to fall apart like this. But you also need to be able to accept change and that nothing is going to be permanent. If somebody wants to go, you need to let them go. But a rule that you must have is that they don't come back because they've been up to no good. And they are now looking for the advantages that they thought they would be able to find in somebody else. You really need to let them go and accept that they too are simply permanent. This is the end of the video, and I'd like to thank you again for your time and your patience as we went through this very critical information in what I thought was a very nuanced way. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the like button. Also, please share the video with other people who need to accept change. Send this video to somebody who needs to accept change and just let go. That's what we need to do. We need to accept, to let go. And if you've enjoyed this content, please leave a comment and remain part of the conversation, and I will respond to each and every comment that I possibly can. I'm the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, and I'd like to thank you again for joining us, and I hope that you have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day. And before I go, let me not forget to say, freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. This is the platform for this message, and this is the message for the platform. Thank you again, and have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day.